Hi, I'm Bob Mandel, and I want to talk about the pandemic a little. The pandemic has been teaching me quite a few things, and I imagine it's the same for you. So I want to share what the pandemic's teaching me about overcoming, transforming, and succeeding. Three of my favorite topics these days. So when the pandemic began to enter my life, I had much to overcome, but probably, like all of you, it was the social distancing, the physical separation from the people I love that challenged me the most. To be separate, disconnected physically from my family and friends was a great loss, or seemed to be a great loss at the time. And of course, I missed them a lot over this year and a half that continues. And but I overcame it. I overcame it by learning the difference between connection and attachment. And that while my physical need to be close and touch the people I love was very important to me, it was not equivalent to the connection of love I feel in my heart. And that I could be physically separate, socially distant, and still 100% connected in my heart. Disconnection is not detachment. It's when you withhold your love. So I learned to love more in some way through the social distancing. And I overcame my attachment to attachment. Interesting choice of words. I also learned to transform. I had to transform my work. My work was 100% dependent on traveling around the world and being physically present in people's lives, or having those people come to my home and be physically present in my life for private sessions, groups, advanced work, swimming pool, wet rebirthing. And all that came to an abrupt halt with the pandemic because I chose the path of safety and I chose not to travel or have people in my home. So I had to transform my work. And the surprise, the reward, the blessing was I learned how to be connected again without being attached physically. I learned how to reach people through Zoom. And I was the most resistant person to electronics and to the internet. You can ask anyone who's worked with me. I was probably the last person to use email. So here I was on Zoom, and I was connecting with people while being socially distant again. And I transformed my work. I did more than 150 groups in a year and a half and reached more people than I would have had I traveled thousands of miles or they to my house. And I saved my producers money. I saved my students and clients money. And I believe I learned to be more effective because I learned how to touch people through the power of my love, even electronically, which is not dependent, again, not dependent on physical proximity. So I transformed my work. And at the end of the day, I was effective. I was productive. I was profitable. I didn't lose anything. So I was a transformer. And that was the second thing I learned. And the third thing I learned was I learned to succeed in this work and in my relationships without being physically close. I learned how to adapt, to survive, and stay healthy, which are the three most important things about success if you think about it. And I became a successful, independent, attached, connected spiritual teacher, rebirther. I worked with people in water. I worked with groups up to 50 people. I could have worked with hundreds of people, but I felt the intimacy was somehow better with 25 to 50 people. And then I worked with hundreds of private clients, as many as I would have. So I succeeded after I transformed, after I overcame. And the greatest blessing of all is through all this year and a half of not being able to work in person with people, I was with my love, my Mally, right by my side, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 30 days a month, 365 days a year. I was back to my spiritual roots of being with the one and only person I really wanted to be with. So in the end, and it's not the end yet because this pandemic continues to challenge us to overcome, transform, and succeed. But in the end, it's a great teaching device, like all of life and like all of challenges. And I know it's been the same for you, and I recognize you, and I celebrate you for all that you've overcome and that all that you have transformed and all the little and big successes and surprises you've achieved during this trying time. So thank you, and I love you, and please stay well.